Ghost Hunt at Blackthorn Manor. Rachel, Tiana, Meg, Lee, Stuart and Albie stood outside Blackthorn Manor beneath a sky swollen with storm clouds. The abandoned house had sat empty for nearly 80 years. People claimed they heard screams inside. Others claimed they heard laughter. No one stayed after dark. Naturally, that made the group want to investigate. "Ready?" Stuart asked, shining his torch toward the crumbling front door. Nobody answered. The manor seemed to absorb sound. Inside, dust floated like ash through the darkness. The floorboards groaned beneath every step. Rachel checked her camera. Did anyone else hear that? A faint voice drifted down the hall. "Help me." The group froze. Albie swallowed. "Nope." The voice came again. "Please." It sounded like a little girl. Against their better judgment, they followed it. The voice led them to the second floor, then to the attic. The attic door was locked, yet the voice was clearly coming from behind it. "Help me." Lee forced the door open. The room beyond was empty. Nothing but old furniture covered in sheets. Then Meg noticed something. In the corner sat a dusty rocking chair, moving slowly back and forth, back and forth. No one was touching it. Temperature dropped instantly. Their breath turned white. Rachel raised her camera. The screen flickered. A face appeared. A woman's face, pale, rotting, standing directly behind her. Rachel spun around. Nothing. When she looked back at the screen, the woman was closer. Much closer. Then the figure opened its mouth impossibly wide. The camera died. The attic door slammed shut. Everyone screamed. Something began pounding from inside the walls. Not knocking, pounding like fists. Hundreds of fists. The wallpaper started bulging. Shapes pushed outward beneath it. Human faces, dozens of them, eyes wide, mouths silently screaming. Then every face turned toward the group at once. The rocking chairs stopped. Silence. A whisper drifted through the room. "Found you." The attic hatch above them creaked open. Rachel looked up. A pale woman was hanging upside down from the darkness. Her black eyes locked onto hers. Then she dropped. The group fled. They never stopped running until they reached their cars. The next morning they reviewed Rachel's footage. The final frame showed 6 people standing in the attic. There should have been 6. There were 7. And the 7th was smiling directly at the camera. Room 313. Harry, Oliver, Piper and Zack booked a weekend stay at an old countryside hotel. The place looked beautiful online. It looked wrong in person. The building leaned slightly. The windows seemed uneven, and nobody at reception smiled. Their rooms were on the 3rd floor. The receptionist handed them a brass key. "Do not open room 313. The group laughed. she didn't. That night, curiosity won. Of course it did. At 1:13 a.m., they stood outside room 313. The door was covered in scratches, as if someone had desperately tried to get out. Harry inserted the key. Click. The room beyond was completely dark. No furniture, no decorations, nothing. Just darkness. Zack shone his torch inside. The beam disappeared, as if the room was swallowing light. Piper felt sick instantly. We should leave. Then a voice answered from inside the room. Her voice. We should leave. Everyone froze. The exact same words. The exact same tone. The exact same voice. Something inside had copied her. Harry stepped backward. A shape emerged. It looked like Piper. Almost. Its eyes were wrong. Too large, too black. Then another shape emerged. Oliver. Then Zack. Then Harry. Perfect copies. Smiling. The copies began walking toward them, slowly. The real group ran, but every hallway led back to room 313. Every staircase returned them to the third floor. Every lift opened beside the room. The hotel had become a maze. At dawn, they found reception. Receptionist was gone. In her place sat a guest book. Harry opened it. Thousands of names filled the pages. Every name belonged to a missing person. The final page had 4 new entries. Harry, Oliver, Piper, Zack. Then footsteps echoed behind them. The copies had found them. And this time, they weren't smiling. Their new home. Taylor and Willow finally bought their dream home. A beautiful detached house on a quiet lane. The previous owners had moved away suddenly. The estate agent never explained why. The first week was perfect. The second wasn't. Every morning a door upstairs was open. A door they always closed before bed. Taylor blamed Willow. Willow blamed Taylor. Then they checked their security camera. At 3:17 a.m., the upstairs door opened by itself. Slowly. No one was there. Things got worse. Whispers drifted through empty rooms. Footsteps crossed the attic. Lights switched on by themselves. Then Willow discovered a small door, hidden behind wallpaper in the spare bedroom. A tiny wooden door, barely large enough for a child. Behind it was a narrow crawl space. Inside sat hundreds of photographs, pictures of every family who had lived there. Some dated back 50 years. All were normal, except for one detail. In every photo stood the same woman, watching, hidden somewhere in the background, behind curtains, in mirrors, outside windows, always watching. Taylor laughed nervously until he noticed something. The final photographs were recent, very recent. Photos of him and Willow moving in. Photos taken inside the house before they arrived. That night they heard footsteps outside their bedroom. Heavy, slow, walking back and forth, back and forth. Taylor opened the door. The hallway spare room. The hidden door stood open. A voice whispered from inside. You weren't supposed to find me. The house lights died. Darkness swallowed everything. Something began crawling through the walls. They could hear it, scratching, moving, getting closer. Then a face emerged from the crawl space. The same woman from the photographs. Her neck twisted unnaturally. Her eyes gleamed in the darkness. And she smiled. A smile far too wide for a human face. Deep woods. The forest beyond Raven's Hollow stretched for miles. Locals refused to enter after sunset. Lou, Rachel, Stuart and Tara thought the stories were nonsense, till they heard the whistle. A single note. Long, low, somewhere between the trees. They had been hiking for hours when it first sounded. Did you hear that? Rachel asked. Everyone had. The whistle came again. Closer. They followed it. That was their first mistake. Soon the path disappeared. The woods grew unnaturally silent. No birds, no insects, nothing. Only trees. Endless trees. Then they found footprints. Huge footprints. Far too large to belong to a human. The tracks circled them, as if something had been watching. Stuart shone his torch into the darkness. Two eyes reflected back, very high off the ground, nearly 10 feet up. The eyes blinked, then vanished. The whistle sounded again, directly behind them. They turned. Nothing. Then Tara screamed. A figure stood between the trees, tall, thin, its limbs bent the wrong way. Its skin hung from its body like wet cloth. The thing smiled, then ran, not away, toward them. The group fled through the darkness. Branches slashed at their faces. The whistle followed, always close, always behind them. At midnight they discovered an abandoned hunting cabin. They barricaded themselves inside. The whistling stopped. Relief washed over them, till they noticed the walls covered in messages, thousands of them, all scratched by hand. Every message said the same thing. It learns your voice. A knock echoed from outside. Then Stuart's voice spoke. Guys, open the door. Everyone turned toward Stuart. He was standing beside them. The voice came again, perfectly copying him. Open the door. The handle began turning, slowly. Then Rachel heard her own voice outside, crying, begging, then Tara's, then Lou's. Dozens of voices, all theirs. Something was collecting them. The cabin wall shook violently. Wood splintered. The door burst inward. Standing outside was a towering silhouette. Its body twisted from branches, bones and shadow. And from every mouth across its body came a different stolen voice, laughing, crying, begging, calling their names. The last thing they heard before the lights died was Rachel's voice whispering from the darkness. We never